When someone doesn't like you, the first thing you have to remember is this: their opinion of you is not the full truth of who you are. It's only a perspective shaped by their own experiences, insecurities, and assumptions. Too often we waste energy trying to win over people who have already made up their minds. And in that chase, we lose sight of ourselves. The way you talk to someone who doesn't like you has not less to do with them and more to do with you. You don't have to match their tone. You don't have to prove your worth. And you don't have to defend every move you make. What you do have to do is stay consistent with your values, respectful, calm, direct, not because they deserve it, but because you do. When the conversation happens, strip it of the need for approval. Speak with clarity, not with the hope of changing their mind. Listen without interrupting, not to validate their dislike, but to show you have self-control. If they try to cut you down, remember, how they treat you reveals more about them than it does about you. It's not your job to convince someone to see your heart. It's your job to show up as the person you've decided to be, even when you're met with resistance. That's power, that's maturity. And that's how you take the oxygen out of conflict. Because once you stop fighting for their acceptance, you've already won something far greater: the freedom to walk in peace, even in the presence of opposition. Recommendation. Stand firm in your values instead of chasing validation. Next step, practice calm, respectful responses when faced with negativity. When someone doesn't like you, it's easy to take it as a personal attack on your worth. But the truth is, their opinion is only a reflection of their perspective. People see the world through the lens of their own experiences, pain, and insecurities. Their dislike is shaped by what they've been through, not by the full truth of who you are. If you try to measure yourself by their opinion, you'll always come up short, because it was never about you in the first place. The moment you separate who you are from how others perceive you, you regain control over your confidence and your peace.
Recommendation. Stop equating someone's rejection with your value. Next step, remind yourself daily that perspective is not identity. You can't control how someone else thinks, feels, or reacts toward you, but you always control the way you respond. That's where your strength lies. When faced with dislike, you have two choices: mirror their negativity or rise above it. One choice keeps you trapped in their cycle. The other frees you to stay grounded in who you are. Control doesn't mean forcing outcomes. It means mastering your tone, your words, and your presence. The moment you stop trying to manage their behavior and start focusing on your own, you shift from being powerless to powerful. Recommendation. Focus energy on your own behavior, not their opinion. Chasing approval from someone who doesn't want to give it is a losing game. The more you try to win them over, the more power you hand them over your emotions. That pursuit drains your energy, shifts your focus away from your goals, and leaves you feeling smaller every time they withhold what you're seeking. Approval isn't proof of your value, it's just validation from another person's perspective. When you stop chasing it, you reclaim the energy you've been giving away and redirect it toward people and places that actually appreciate you. That shift doesn't just protect your peace, it strengthens your self-respect. Recommendation. Recognize that seeking approval from the unwilling is self-defeating. Next step, consciously withdraw your energy from winning them over and invest it in people who value you. Consistency with your values is what keeps you steady when someone dislikes you. It's easy to slip into defensiveness, sarcasm, or even silence just to hope, but those reactions pull you away from who you really are. Your values, respect, honesty, kindness, or whatever guides you shouldn't change based on who's standing in front of you. When you remain consistent, you show integrity. You demonstrate that your behavior is not dependent on their approval, but anchored in your character. Over time, this consistency builds trust within yourself, even if it never changes their opinion of you. Recommendation. Let your values guide your words and actions, not their attitude. Next step, identify 2 values you want to uphold in every difficult conversation and commit to practicing them. When speaking to someone who doesn't like you, your goal isn't to flip their opinion, it's to communicate with clarity. Trying to convince them often leads to over-explaining, defending, or apologizing for things that don't need defending. Clarity, on the other hand, keeps your message simple and steady. It shows that you're not begging for their acceptance, but expressing yourself with confidence. Even if they reject your words, they can't ignore the steadiness of your delivery. Clarity removes confusion, limits conflict, and reinforces that you value truth over approval. Recommendation: focus on being understood, not on being liked. Next step, practice shortening your responses to what is essential, avoiding unnecessary justification. Listening without interrupting is not about agreeing with the other person, it's about showing discipline and self-control. When someone dislikes you, they may expect you to react defensively or cut them off. But staying quiet while they speak sends a powerful message. You're not threatened, and you're not desperate to win the conversation. Silence gives you time to process instead of reacting impulsively. It also prevents escalation, because arguments often grow when both sides fight to be heard. By listening fully, you gain clarity on what they're really saying, while also maintaining control over the pace and tone of the exchange. Recommendation: use listening as a strategy for composure, not compliance. Next step, in your next difficult conversation, let the other person finish completely before you respond. Responding respectfully, even when you're disrespected, is not weakness, it's strength under control. Disrespect invites you to react with the same energy, but when you do, you hand over your power. Respect doesn't mean you agree with them or tolerate bad behavior. It means you refuse to let their attitude dictate your character. A respectful response sets boundaries without adding fuel to the fire. It shows that you can rise above pettiness and still carry yourself with dignity. In the end, respect is less about them and more about the standard you hold yourself to. Recommendation: make respect your default response regardless of their behavior. Next step, prepare one calm, respectful phrase you can use when confronted with disrespect so you don't get pulled into their negativity. When someone shows you negativity, the easiest instinct is to mirror it back, to match their sarcasm, anger, or dismissiveness, but doing that doesn't prove strength. It just drags you down to their level. Mirroring negativity locks you in their cycle where comparison grows and both lose control. The real power comes from breaking the pattern. By refusing to mirror, you keep the upper hand. You remain calm, focused, and in charge of yourself. People may forget what was said in a heated moment, but they won't forget who stayed composed when the room was tense. Recommendation: refuse to copy their negativity. Choose composure over reaction. Next step, when negativity comes your way, pause, take one breath, and respond in a neutral tone instead of matching their energy. How someone treats you says far more about them than it does about you. Disrespect, rudeness, or hostility are often reflections of their own struggles, insecurities, or frustrations, not a measurement of your worth. When you take their behavior personally, you carry a weight that was never yours to begin with. But when you see it for what it is, a mirror of their inner state, you free yourself from unnecessary guilt and self-doubt. Their actions reveal their character, your response reveals yours. That separation protects your confidence and keeps your peace intact. Recommendation: judge their behavior as a reflection of them, not a verdict on you. Next step, each time someone treats you poorly, remind yourself this is about them, not me. Boundaries are essential when dealing with someone who doesn't like you. Without them, you risk giving unlimited access to negativity that drains your energy and confidence. A boundary is not about punishment, it's about protection. It defines what behavior you will and will not accept. By setting clear limits, whether it's how often you interact, how much time you give, or how you allow yourself to be spoken to, you take back control of the situation. Boundaries remind both you and them that your peace is not negotiable. And enforcing them consistently shows that self-respect guides your choices, not their opinion of you. Recommendation: protect your peace with clear, firm boundaries. Next step, decide one specific boundary you need to set and practice holding it without apology. Keeping your tone calm is one of the most effective ways to disarm hostility. When emotions rise, voices tend to rise with them, and that's when conversations spiral into conflict. A calm tone signals control. It shows that you're steady, not shaken, and unwilling to be pulled into chaos. It also prevents the other person from feeding off your reaction. Even if they remain hostile, your calm delivery creates a contrast that highlights their behavior instead of yours. Calmness doesn't mean you're passive, it means you're choosing strength through composure. Recommendation: use calmness as a tool to lower tension and maintain control. Next step, in your next tense interaction, deliberately lower your voice volume and slow your pace of speech to set the tone. When emotions run high, it's easy to get lost in feelings, hurt, anger, or frustration. But if you want to move forward with someone who doesn't like you, you need to stay anchored in facts. Facts keep the conversation grounded, while emotions can make it spiral. Instead of saying, "You're always against me," you can say, "I noticed you disagreed with me in the last 2 meetings." That shift removes exaggeration and defensiveness. Facts are clear, specific, and harder to argue with. By leaning on facts, you remove unnecessary drama and give the conversation structure, which builds credibility and control. Recommendation: separate facts from feelings to keep discussions productive. Next step, before your next difficult talk, write down 2 facts you can rely on so you don't get swept up in emotion. Defensiveness feels natural when someone dislikes you. It's the instinct to explain, justify, or protect yourself. But defensiveness rarely helps. It usually fuels the tension. The more you defend, the more power you give to their accusations, even if they're unfair. Instead of reacting defensively, focus on responding with clarity and composure. A calm statement like, "I see your point," or "That's your perspective," acknowledges without conceding. This keeps the conversation from escalating and shows that you don't need their approval to remain steady. True strength is choosing not to let their words control your emotions. Recommendation: replace defensiveness with calm acknowledgement. Next step, practice. One neutral response you can use when criticism comes, so you're prepared instead of reactive. Your ultimate goal in dealing with someone who doesn't like you isn't to win them over, it's to protect your peace of mind. Chasing their approval keeps you tied to their mood and their opinion, but choosing peace frees you from that cycle. Peace doesn't mean avoiding every conflict. It means refusing to let conflict own you. It's about staying calm enough to think clearly, secure enough not to overreact, and wise enough to know when the conversation is no longer worth your energy. When peace is your goal, you measure success not by how they respond, but by how you maintained yourself. Control. Recommendation: make inner peace the measure of success, not their approval. Next step, after a tough interaction, ask yourself, did I keep my peace or did I give it away? Sometimes the strongest response is not to argue, explain, or prove, it's to walk away with dignity. Walking away doesn't mean you've lost. It means you've chosen not to waste energy where it won't bear fruit. It's a decision to protect your mental and emotional health by removing yourself from a space that feeds conflict. Staying engaged with someone determined to dislike you only keeps you stuck in their cycle. But leaving calmly and respectfully shows maturity and control. It reminds both of you that your self-worth is not up for debate and that you value peace over pointless battles. Recommendation: treat walking away as a sign of strength, not surrender. Not surrender. Next step, identify situations where disengaging would protect your peace and be ready to exit gracefully when needed.